sorry, Victor, to focus on your experience with jobs in India and the US. I know you have these very interesting stories to tell of how you started off, all over again in the US and things like that. Could you tell us something about your experiences with getting into publications both here and in the US Go?
Yes, in Bombay, I began writing in college. In fact, John Correa Afonso and myself, we started a writers club called the Chester Belloc Club after Chesterton and Belloc. And we published our own magazine, typewritten. I did all the typing and everybody contributed. Twice a month we would come out with the magazine. After I graduated, I decided to become a teacher because it was my father, my grandmothers, we were all teachers. I went to Antonio de Souza High School, but the writing bug was too strong.
I see.
Then I went to Aloysius Soares and said, I'm quitting, I'm going to become a journalist. And he said, Ribeiro, you will starve. Journalism does not pay. And I said, all right, but I would rather starve and do something that I want to do. So I was offered a job by Blitz and I took it, and somehow or other that was good. In the United States, it was a different experience because I applied to the New York Times right away. And getting in there was difficult because they said, what do you want to do? I said, I want to be in the music department. And they said, you're either too early or too late. I said, what does that mean? They said, you're too late because Olin Downs died 6 months ago and his post has been filled. And you're too early because nobody's going to retire from that department for 15 years.
This was in 1960 or?
1956.
56. I see.
So I said, how does one get into the Times? They said, you become a copy boy. You wipe tables, you fill paste pots, you run copy, and then after you do that for 3 years, then you become a cub reporter.
I see.
You run behind the police ambulances, police cars and ambulances. And much after that, you get a desk job. So I applied for a copy boy's position, and they called me for an interview on Friday the 13th. And the place was on the 14th floor. And when the elevator reached the 13th floor, it jammed.
Oh gosh.
So people came and they pulled me out of there and they said, they are waiting for you. And I said, who could they be? This is a copy boy's position. Yeah. It was Clifton Daniels, who was President Truman's son-in-law.
I see.
A man called Burroughs was the managing director, and 4 or 5 other people. And they said, why are you applying for this copy boy's position? I explained it to them. And they said, what do you really want to do? I said, I'll be writing for the paper.
Yeah.
And they said, in 2 weeks, I said, I'll be writing. And they said, you're on.
I see.
So they employed me as a copy boy, but they sent me down to meet the head of the music department.
I see.
Howard Taubman. He chatted with me for half an hour. And after that, he says to me, Mr. Ribeiro, do you write in English? And I was so astonished because, I don't hesitate over words. Yeah. There's none of this stuff. So I said to him, yes, Mr. Taubman, I do write in English. I've been writing in English a long time. But if you have a Spanish edition, a Portuguese edition, and an Italian edition, I'll be happy to write for you in those languages too. And he laughed and he took me on right away. So that was my introduction to.
So persistence pays in that sense.
Persistence and the willingness to take an entry-level job to get your foot in the door, so that then you can prove yourself. That's what you've got.
In between Blitz and the other papers in Mumbai, there was also a stint in Calcutta where you were assistant editor and.
Oh yes, in Calcutta I was the Sunday editor.
Okay.
But in Bombay I became the assistant editor of the what became the Indian Express, the National Standard. Yeah. And there too I had started as a sub-editor. But when I joined as sub-editor, I immediately began writing pieces, including light editorials.
I see.
Third editorials.
Yeah.
So when the assistant editor quit,
I see.
I got the job.
Okay.
You have to think ahead.
That's true.
And not that I'm going to stick in this niche for the next 25 years.
You've done a whole range of things, right? From journalism on both sides of the sub-editing and reporting fences to, writing books. And what makes you kind of so eager to try out so many different genres as it is?
I think it's a sense that things are possible when we have the energy and the interest. If there are challenges all the time. When I was with the Times in Calcutta, they shut us down overnight, they locked us out. I came back to Bombay. They had offered me the first job in Bombay, but nothing was happening. And one day I got this tremendous urge to get dressed and go to St. Xavier's College. I jumped into a tram, I jumped off in front of the college. I went to see Father Heras, with whom I had worked as a student. And he said to me, an angel has sent you. What had happened is that the government of England had given the government of India the secret documents of the East India Company.
I see.
The government of India gave it to the National Archives. The National Archives director was Heras's star pupil. He sent it to Father Heras in 1948.
I see.
Saying, edit these. 1953, Father Heras gets a letter from Dr. Salidore. Father Heras, you are my guru, I respect you, but if I don't get these documents back edited in 6 months, I will cut off your grant.
I see.
So he prayed to his guardian angel and I showed up. So he shows me this stack of papers. He says, Victor, you've got 3 months, not 6 months, 3 months. I want these papers edited with footnotes, appendix, bibliography, and illustrations, maps. Can you do it? No. I was young, I was stupid, and I was out of work.
Right.
Marvelous combination. I said, of course, Father. I'm doing it. And that's been published by the National Archives.
I see.
Yes.
I see. I think it's maybe time for your own biography to tell the story in much more detail. Thanks.